In AD 580, the Lakhmid ruler Al-Mundir IV passed away, leaving the Sassanid Shah, Hormuzd IV, with the responsibility of selecting his successor from among Al-Mundir's 12 sons. During this time, the Lakhmid poet Adi ibn Zayd, who held significant influence at the Sassanid court, played a crucial role in shaping the decision. Through his persuasion, he convinced Hormuzd IV to appoint Al-Numan III ibn al-Mundir as the new ruler. With the backing of the Sassanid Shah, Al-Numan III ascended to the Lakhmid throne. In 590, Hormuzd IV was overthrown by his general Bahram Chobin. Hormuzd's son, Khosrow, sought assistance from Al-Numan III, but the latter demanded independence in return. As a result, Khosrow, with the support of the Roman Emperor Maurice, was restored to the Sassanid throne in 591. The Romans sent a large army to Persia to help Khosrow regain power. However, Khosrow never forgave Al-Numan III for refusing to support him against Bahram Chobin. Relations between the Sassanids and Lakhmids further deteriorated in 595 when Al-Numan III arrested Adi ibn Zayd, suspecting him of plotting against him. Although Khosrow II protested, he was preoccupied with internal rebellions and did not take action. The final break came when Al-Numan refused to give his daughter to Khosrow in marriage and allegedly insulted Persian women. Realizing his mistake and anticipating retribution, Al-Numan contacted the powerful Arab tribe Bakr ibn Wa'il for assistance. They promised to protect his family and possessions. In 602, Khosrow invited Al-Numan to Ctesiphon, where he was imprisoned and eventually died. Khosrow II entrusted the governance of Al-Hira to Iyas ibn Qabisa alongside Nekiragan, a Persian noble. This decision was partly a gesture of gratitude, as Iyas had aided Khosrow during his escape from Bahram Chobin a decade earlier by providing him with a horse and slaughtering a camel for his sustenance. Meanwhile, historical accounts suggest that Al-Numan III's family, along with their treasury, found refuge among the Bakr ibn Wa'il tribe. This act enraged Khosrow, who responded by sending Iyas ibn Qabisa to confront the Banu Shayban, a prominent branch of the Bakr ibn Wa'il confederation. Hani ibn Qabisa, who was married to two of Al-Numan's daughters, refused to surrender Al-Numan's women as well as the Lakhmid treasury and armor, which included an estimated 400 to 800 suits of armor and additional weaponry. This defiance made conflict between the Sassanids and the Arab tribes unavoidable. Adding to the tension, the Banu Taglib, another Arab tribe living north of the Bakr ibn Wa'il, were frequent rivals of the Bakr. Hoping to capitalize on the conflict and expand their territory, the Banu Taglib allied themselves with Khosrow. In 609, Khosrow and the Banu Taglib sent emissaries to the Bakr ibn Wa'il, demanding that they either surrender or vacate their lands near an oasis called Dhi Qar. The Bakr ibn Wa'il rejected these demands and prepared for battle. Muslim tradition places the Battle of Dhi Qar in 623 or 624, though many modern historians suggest it occurred a decade or more earlier. Regardless of its exact date, the battle unfolded during the protracted and exhausting Byzantine-Sassanid War of 602 to 628. The Banu Taglib, who had been engaged in a prolonged conflict with the Bakr ibn Wa'il for 40 years, formed the core of the force under Iyas ibn Qabisa. This combined force consisted of 2,000 Persian soldiers alongside 3,000 troops drawn from the Banu Taglib, Banu Iyad, and other allied tribes. The Bakr ibn Wa'il force may have numbered as few as 2,000 soldiers. The most prominent constituent tribe was the Banu Shayban, with additional groups including the Banu Ijil, Banu Yashkur, Banu Duhul, Banu Qais ibn Talaba, and Banu Taymallah ibn Talaba. According to historical accounts, Qais ibn Mas'ud, one of the leaders of the Arab auxiliaries in the Sassanid army, managed to alert the Bakr ibn Wa'il about the impending attack. Under the cover of night, he slipped away and traveled to the Bakr ibn Wa'il encampment at a nearby depression to warn them of the danger. At first, the Bakr ibn Wa'il forces were overwhelmed by fear. However, their leader, alongside Hanzala ibn Talaba, was able to restore order. As panic swept through the tribesmen, Hanzala urged them to stand their ground and fight. To prevent those fleeing from taking their families with them, he cut the leather straps of the saddles on their camels. This was to be a battle to the death, with no exceptions. Hanzala then established his tent in the depression of Dhi Qar and vowed that he would not retreat. A faction of the Bakr ibn Wa'il tribe remained stationed at the depression of Dhi Qar, while others relocated to a nearby water source at the bend of Dhi Qar to gather supplies. There, they encountered a Persian vanguard that was attempting to collect water. A fierce battle broke out, lasting 3 hours as the Arabs fought to deny the Persians access to this vital resource. Stricken by severe thirst, the Persian vanguard struggled to mount an effective defense and eventually retreated to another water source at Al-Jubabat, situated to the southwest. The Bakr ibn Wa'il pursued the fleeing Persians, engaging them in a heated skirmish. The Persian troops regrouped into a compact formation in an effort to fend off their attackers and secure water access. However, reinforcements from the tribesmen at the bend of Dhi Qar arrived and launched a renewed assault, compelling the Persians to abandon their position. The battle at Al-Jubabat persisted throughout the day. Once again, the Persians were unable to access water and suffered greatly from thirst in the sweltering summer heat. Ultimately, they were forced to retreat further, this time toward the depression of Dhi Qar, where the remaining members of the Bakr ibn Wa'il had fortified their positions. As night fell, one of the Sassanid auxiliaries from the Banu Iyad tribe secretly sent a message to the Bakr ibn Wa'il, proposing to betray their Sassanid masters. The message stated, "Which do you prefer, that we slip away under the cover of night, or that we remain here and flee when you engage the enemy?" The Bakr ibn Wa'il replied, "Remain here tonight. When the battle becomes fierce, take flight." During the night, a group of Bakr tribesmen used the early morning chaos to set up an ambush further along the valley toward the Euphrates. This group, commanded by Yazid ibn Himar of the Banu Shayban tribe, was instructed to conceal themselves in what is known as the Hollow of Dhi Qar. Their mission was to surprise the approaching main Persian army and disrupt their advance. On the morning of the next day, the two armies finally met on the battlefield, their formations colliding with a thunderous clash that echoed across the plains. As they pressed forward, the air was thick with the sounds of clanging metal, the shouts of commanders, and the cries of warriors fighting with unwavering determination. Each side maintained their ranks, forming tightly packed lines that surged and ebbed like the tide. The relentless sun beat down upon them, its oppressive heat sapping the strength and resolve of the combatants. Sweat poured down their brows, making their armor slick and heavy, while the dust kicked up by their feet clung to their bodies. As the hours wore on, the ferocity of the battle began to take its toll, with neither side able to gain a clear advantage. Exhaustion set in as individual soldiers started to falter, their strikes losing the intensity they had at the start. Gradually, the fiercely contested ground became littered with weary bodies and discarded weapons. Recognizing the futility of continued fighting, the commander signaled a retreat. Warriors, breathing heavily and stained with dirt and blood, began to withdraw, leaving behind the chaotic remnants of a battle that had created more weary souls than victorious spirits. The once defined lines of the clash dissolved, and the battlefield fell into a heavy silence, broken only by the haunting echoes of what had transpired. Noticing that some of his kinsmen were gripped by fear, the commander of the Arab army, Hanzala, used the brief lull in the fighting to cut additional saddle straps, ensuring that no one could flee the battlefield. He then reorganized his forces, forming two strong groups positioned on the flanks while deliberately leaving the center weaker. This strategic adjustment was intended to strengthen the army's ability to withstand and counter the enemy's attacks. As the battle resumed with renewed intensity, the warriors stationed on the left flank of the Arab forces launched a determined advance towards the Persian cavalry, which was strategically positioned on the enemy's right wing. Historical accounts indicate that as the two lines clashed, the leader of the Arab flank, a formidable warrior known for his bravery, issued a bold challenge to his Sassanid counterpart. This challenge to a duel was a customary practice during these historic conflicts, serving both as a personal test of valor and as a means to inspire one's troops. The atmosphere on the battlefield was taut with anticipation as the two leaders squared off. In a fierce exchange that captivated onlookers from both sides, the Arab warrior ultimately emerged victorious. His triumph not only signified a personal victory, but also wielded a significant psychological impact on the entire battlefield. The Arabs, invigorated by their leader's success, felt a surge of confidence and determination, while the morale of the Persian forces noticeably waned, casting a shadow of doubt over their leadership and unity. Recognizing the pivotal moment at hand, Hanzala, the commander of the Arab forces, swiftly assessed the changing tides of battle. With astute awareness of the Persian right wing's diminished morale in the wake of the duel, he resolved to capitalize on this opportunity. Rallying his troops, Hanzala initiated a concentrated assault that drove directly into the heart of the Persian flank. The coordinated charge was executed with precision and fervor, aimed at exploiting the absence of their commander and applying relentless pressure on the Persian forces, further tipping the scales of battle in favor of the Arabs. On the Persian left flank, the battle raged with an intensity that could be felt throughout the valley of Dhi Qar. This rugged terrain, characterized by its deep ravines and high ridges, became the backdrop for a fierce confrontation. Both the Persian forces, equipped with their heavy armor and disciplined formations, and the fiercely independent Arab tribesmen, known for their agility and strategic prowess, engaged in a tumultuous clash. At this pivotal moment during the conflict, Yazid's concealed contingent, hidden within the deceptive folds of the hollow of Dhi Qar, made a calculated move. They emerged with precision, executing a surprise attack that targeted the rear of the Persian center. This was a crucial point in the battle where the Sassanid leader, Iyas ibn Qabisa, was commanding his troops with fiery determination. However, they were caught off guard, and the sudden onslaught sent shockwaves through the Persian lines. Compounding the chaos, the Banu Yad tribesmen, as they had agreed, strategically turned and fled from the battlefield. This unexpected defection created a ripple effect of confusion and disorder among the Persian troops, who found themselves struggling to maintain their formation as panic spread through the ranks. The initial disarray quickly escalated into a full-blown rout as the morale of the Persian soldiers crumbled under the weight of betrayal and surprise. Seizing the opportunity, the Bakr ibn Wa'il tribe, fueled by the thrill of victory and vengeance, pursued the retreating Persian forces relentlessly. They pressed on from the depression of Dhi Qar, chasing their enemies with fierce determination, cutting down anyone who dared to fall behind. Their pursuit carried them across the rocky terrain and into an unknown expanse further to the northwest, where the remnants of the Persian army scattered in disarray, desperately seeking refuge. The Battle of Dhi Qar extended over 2 harrowing days, a prolonged struggle characterized by grit and determination on both sides. As dust settled and silence eventually fell over the battlefield, the echoes of this monumental clash resonated throughout the Arabian Peninsula. It emerged as a powerful symbol of Arab resistance and resilience, etching itself into the collective memory of the tribes and solidifying their identity in the face of a formidable empire. The victory was not merely a military triumph. It became a defining moment in the region's history, inspiring generations to come. Although the forces involved were not part of the main Sassanid army, the defeat at Dhi Qar still significantly damaged the prestige of the Sassanid Empire. It sparked a newfound spirit of confidence and unity among the Arabs, who no longer saw themselves as inferior, but as a people with the potential to shape their own future. This newfound confidence came at a crucial time, coinciding with the birth of Islam. Following the battle, the Bakr ibn Wa'il and especially the Banu Shayban adopted an anti-Sassanian policy. They initiated sustained raids against southwestern Sassanid territories, now left vulnerable without the protection of the Lakhmids. The Banu Shayban, led by al-Muthanna ibn Haritha, played a notable role in assisting the Islamic army during the conquest of western Persia. In addition, the internal instability in Ctesiphon following the downfall of Khosrow in 628, coupled with the devastating plague of 627 to 628, created an environment of weakness within the Sassanid Empire. These factors paved the way for the decisive Battle of Qadisiyah in 636, which ultimately contributed to the Muslim conquest of Persia.